Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the WIN module. This week we're looking at high intensity training and how that differs from endurance. So, Joan, would you like to answer your first question? The question is, if I can just show it on the screen. Oh no, I lost it. That's not useful. Good start, Sarah. Well done. Okay. Here we go. So what's the main difference in fueling for high intensity training versus endurance training?
Okay, there are several differences. It's not a matter of eating completely different foods, that's for sure. But there are a few differences. One might be, and I suggest, as I always have for years, always test this out in training. Don't ever go into an event. No nutrition surprises on race day, that's for sure. In any case, the amount that you eat might need to increase, but you have to test it out in training, because if it's going to sit in your stomach and make you feel uncomfortable while you're trying to train, it's not going to work. So you'll have to just work this out. You might need to just fuel during the event or the training more often rather than taking in large quantities. The other thing is, I think that you should start, again, with a meal that looks like the plate diagram about 2 hours or even a little more before your training or your event starts. But if you miss that timing and you're getting closer to the training or the event, don't add a lot of fat. So the fats should shrink the closer you are to the start of the event, whatever it is. And I'm not saying that to advocate that you do that. I'm just telling you that it would not be good, because fats, of course, slow down the absorption of the food, and it won't be available. It's not going to be through your stomach and into the intestine where you need to access it, where your body can access it while you're training. So take those things under advisement, and that's going to be really important because it's high intensity. So there you go.
Okay, cool. So let's get rid of that one. And let's put this one. So what's the main difference in mobility for high intensity training compared to endurance? Now, if we're talking about before training, then it's not really any different to how you would warm up for your endurance, because you just need to add a little bit more speed maybe to what it is that you're doing. So by mobilizing generally your body, you're warming up the joints and you're asking them to be in positions that they haven't been in before. So it's really important that you do some lower level intensity stuff before you start the high intensity. But most people do that in a warm up anyway. So in that sense, it's not any different to the endurance side of things, just general warm up and nothing new. Just like Joan said, nothing new just before your training, because your body's not ready for that. Your muscles and bones are not ready for the shock and the stresses that they have to go through with high intensity training. So, next question. How should athletes eat to prevent fatigue during high intensity training?
Well, this is going to sound like a strange thing. You probably need to start figuring out how long you can go. For example, in long rides, I always noticed every 15 miles was a good time. But if you're going to go high intensity, you're going to have to figure out where you'll be able to do that. Where will you have a pause so that you can fuel? But at the same time, one of the most important things to do is to prevent the creation by your brain release of serotonin. Now, serotonin is a brain chemical, and most people don't talk about this when they talk about fatigue, but they have done studies on athletes and also on animals in labs, and they have found out that things that they've recommended, like ginseng, Panax ginseng, and peony root, basically work by preventing the buildup of serotonin. Isn't that interesting? So I'm onto something here, and those things have side effects, but I try to do everything through food if possible. Mm-hmm. So what I think the best way to block serotonin is to make sure that you're having some protein. Now, when I say protein in the middle of an event or a training, I'm not talking about nuts. And I just recently wrote an article. Maybe I should post it in our group.
Yeah, I saw
about
that.
how nuts. Yes. Okay. Good. So I will put that with Sarah's approval. I will put that in the Facebook group, so you'll read it. It's nuts are fats, and they're good fats, and we should eat them. But at the same time, what we don't want to do is think that they're protein or try to use them when we need protein. In any case, you could try maybe some protein powder mixed with water. I have found that whey protein is not only a high quality protein, it's also an easily digestible protein. If you're a vegan and you don't want to touch animal products, then a vegetable protein or hemp protein can work for you. That's one way to go. Potato goo has a 6-to-1 carbohydrate to protein ratio. That might not be enough protein, so what you might need to do is, again, add a little bit of protein in whatever form you feel you can tolerate it. But that's my thing. Keep serotonin down. And don't use sugar, because that's a really big insulin booster. And the more insulin we secrete, the more serotonin the brain makes. And it really is pretty much a linear function. So that's my take on this.
Right. So my next question is, how can athletes mobilize during high intensity training? Now, high intensity training for most people is not like endurance. It's not the same movement as endurance training. So you're not going to be doing push-ups and pull-ups and squats and burpees and all those things during endurance training. So what I would suggest is that for each repetition, because usually with these exercises, they are repetitions of the same thing over and over again in various different sets. So if you could do each repetition differently, then you're spreading the load across your joints. You're asking the muscles to do things that will fatigue them in lots of different ways. And that is much better for your joints because you're spreading the fatigue, so it takes longer for the fatigue to kick in. It was explained to me if I was tapping my forehead like this in the same place all the time, it would hurt quickly. But if I did it like this and then across here like this, it takes a lot longer for it to hurt. So that's, to me, that was a very simple way of that being explained. So if you can do things differently during your training. So let's say, for example, you're doing a push-up. If your hands were here, then you could do one repetition like this. You could do one repetition like this. You could do one like this, one like this, one like this, one like this. There's loads of different ways you can do them. It's not necessarily technically correct for, a fitness instructor or whoever, but actually to your body, it's just another variation. And that's what we need to focus on is variety during high intensity training. So Joan's last question is, post-training, how should athletes eat for best recovery?
Okay, I'm sticking with my rule of the 30-minute window. And I know you're thinking, well, she said that before. Yeah, but this is so important. I'm saying it again. Within 30 minutes, you can eat before 30 minutes, but definitely within 30 minutes, have a combination of starch and protein in a 3-to-1 ratio. Again, starch will give you the best repletion of glycogen. And after high-intensity training, glycogen repletion is important. Don't miss that 30-minute window. Be fanatical about it. Absolutely fanatical. I mean, like, truly, yes, that's it. I'll just say it. Be fanatical about it. Okay. Make sure you hit that. Don't go late, or your muscles will not be able to accept. You'll become insulin resistant temporarily, and you will not be able to accept fuel for the rest of the day as well as if you did it in that 30-minute window. Was there anything else that I wanted to say? Again, you might need to start eating from the plate diagram, the regular meals, maybe a little bit sooner. So if you have that within the 30-minute window, maybe let only about an hour go by and then start eating regular meals. And from there, go by how you feel. But again, don't try necessarily to consume all the calories that you expended. That'll happen naturally over the course of a day or so. Okay.
Cool. So, same question. How is it best to recover mobility-wise after high-intensity exercise? So, for me, the getting your body to relax is the biggest problem that people have with high intensity. So they're stressed with their jobs, they're stressed with their families, they're very, very busy people, and then they go and exercise really, really hard. And the body never gets the opportunity to relax. It forgets how, and then because of the adaptation qualities of the human body, it just accepts that new level of tension as normal, and that will develop into muscle tension. So if your brain is stressed, if you feel emotionally stressed, then that will help also have an impact on your muscular tension. And once the body accepts that level of tension as normal, it's got no reason to try and get rid of it. And then you go up what I call the pain staircase. Okay. So if you've got relaxation at the bottom of a normal staircase and you have pain at the top, then most people exist in tension the step below pain most of the time. So they have lots and lots of tension, they just don't have any pain. And the idea is that we unwind your body as much as we can to bring you down the staircase into relaxation. And in high intensity exercise, it's really important that we do that. So something that is really relaxing, like really slow, really rhythmical. So if you're normally doing a little bit of mobility work and you do like 5 minutes, I'd really make a conscious effort to do longer and just really, really slow, really relaxing. Even if it's just laying on the floor, hardly any effort at all. So for me, it needs to be completely opposite to the intensity level that you put in for your exercise. So if you've got high intensity over here and you've got really low intensity exercise over here, then this needs to be counterbalanced by this. Okay. So your mobility needs to be as little effort as possible. And that's about it.
All right. Once again, we are so good. We're very efficient at this. I think this is the same amount of time that we spent last time.
Oh,
this is great.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So we will put this in the members area now, and you'll be able to get it whenever you're ready. We'll see you soon.
Sounds good to me. Thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you everyone for watching this, whether it was live or on the recording.
Absolutely. Cool.